You know, I haven't gotten one question yet related to community organization.
J'ai pas reçu une question qui est vraiment directement touchant à l'organisation communautaire. Il y en a deux.
At the beginning, when you were talking about the community organizer being a person who cannot take holidays and must be there 7 days a week, all 24 hours a day, it sounds to me like you're building into the movement an indispensable person. And it seems to conflict with what you talked about afterwards about having the people take responsibility for their own decisions and building their own movement.
That would be true if we were to eliminate 2 or 3 truisms. One is that as a body periodically has a very bad cold to clean itself, leaders get disposed almost inevitably, almost always. See, when the people feel they don't need them anymore, they get rid of them. It always happens. Like in the United States right now. And the other thing is, see, that if you don't multiply, then you haven't got anything. See, if you do this work, then others are going to imitate you, and pretty soon you're multiplying yourself.
Then you become less indispensable and really could leave the movement for a time.
No, see, you never become indispensable. The people force you to be. So, I mean, you never accept that you never accept that the movement can do without you. Like, for instance, if you ask me, sometimes I say, what's going to happen if I go? And then I say, hey, will this thing go or will it not go? I say, it'll be a tremendous tribute if it continue going, but maybe it won't go. And then I say, well, the people aren't fools, they'll find out. See what I mean?
When they're ready to let you go, they'll let you go.
They ask you to leave. They ask you to leave. Because then you become, see, the moment you become, the moment it's like eating something that doesn't agree with you. After you don't need it, you throw it out, right? And a key person in the organization, see after the people, it happens for various reasons. Some good reasons, some bad reasons. You understand? For instance, if the second generation of a movement can continue going with the same ideals as the founders, it's quite a thing. Usually it doesn't happen. Usually before the founders, like all of us here in the movement who founded the movement, before all of us are out of the movement, if we live our lives in the movement, there will be a second generation taking over, and we will see definite changes being made. See? At that point then, you make up your mind, you challenge those changes, and at that point people say, we don't need you anymore. Because it isn't like what it used to be. A lot of young people in the union say today, that old organizer always gets up and talk about the 30s and about the great CIO drives. We don't want to hear about that, we want to hear about right now. See? They're really saying, your time's gone.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. No, that's just a college trip. Don't worry about that. No, in reality it doesn't happen that way.
The question was, how do you see your indispensability as the leader of the union or the movement in conflict with building responsibility and having more people take over the leadership? To me, it sounds like that's in conflict.
No, because there's so much work that like right now I'm trying to get this guy to speak for me. He won't do it, you know. Okay. But I'm going to have him do the next one by himself. No, you see, a lot depends a lot really depends what pressures you have. If you had a movement that you control, if you can control all the pressures against the movement, you can afford to do that. See what I mean? You can say, oh, don't move it. I'm going to do this, and you don't do that. But when you have more than when you have more opposition and more things being thrown at you, you got to say, hey, help me with this one, you know. You take that one, I'll take this one. See what I mean? Marshall has some more further thoughts on the question.
No, Marshall, just about what you were talking about. It seems to me you have the idea that, like the organized, well, it's this kind of a dream that the job of the organizer is to kind of set up this machine and then get out of it as quick as possible.
No, all I was saying that is if you can give a speech this afternoon, then Mr. Chavez could take a holiday this afternoon because he's built you up to a point where you can take over some functions of his.
Well, but see, the problem is, well, as Caesar said, the problem is that there's so damn much to do in a real organization where you're in a real fight and where you're facing real opposition that there is so much work and responsibility that needs to be spread around that that's not a problem. See, the problem is your own attitude. See, now, if you're serious about organizing, and if the aims of the organization are serious, I mean really serious, and the work and the responsibilities are very serious, so you can't afford to kind of work yourself out of it. What you have to do is multiply as many people like yourself as you can. But you don't do that by stepping away, you do that by stepping in, see? You set an example, and you bring other people along with you, and that's how you multiply yourself, see? Not by stepping back out and saying, well, now it's time for me to get out, because then people may follow that example too, see? Now, see, in one situation, organizing can be like a game, where it's a game to get this thing going and then step back and then it falls apart anyway. In another way, it's something real in which you, by being an organizer and by starting to move people, you assume tremendous responsibilities towards those people, see? Because you can't be really, you can't organize without being a leader. I mean, you can't separate the two things. I mean, I know that a lot of people think you can, and think that you can organize off here without being a leader of the without leading the people, but you can't.
You can move from group to group within the movement. You can organize a group and be prepared to move back at that point, as long as you're within the movement.
As you develop somebody to take your place to do that work, that's right.
Indispensable to each little
But you do that by developing people to take your place. See? You don't do that by
You
stepping
don't
off.
get too far.
Okay.
I think that we don't have any more time for any more questions. I was a little disappointed that I didn't get any questions about the things I talked about, really coming to grips with community organization. But then, so many of you didn't ask questions, so I'm betting on the silent majority that you did have those questions and they were answered. Thank you very much.
Stick around. Next time, we'll get into some more. Thank you.
Okay.